what am I saying? Okay, so math. Your child is placed into a 9th grade math class based on several different factors. If your student is currently at Park, the placement is based on conversations with their current math teacher. So our upper school math department is in close conversation with the 8th grade math teachers in particular, and they try to figure out what the best fit might be. If your student is going to be new to Park, they will take a placement exam. They already took the placement exam. And we also will look at the recommendation, for example, from the math teacher, or simply how they've been faring in math class so far. On the recommendations that the teachers filled out, they list the texts that were used, so that's really helpful for us as well. The two main foci of 9th grade math are developing mathematical thinking and habits of mind, and also on problem solving. So a 9th grade math class looks quite different than what you might have lived through yourself, in that it's not merely, here are the 25 problems you're meant to answer tonight for homework and just work out those equations. Instead, it's, here's an answer, what's a way of getting there, and there might be 3 or 4 different answers proposed, and the students and the teacher together really work through how can those all work, and yet they're different approaches to the same answer. So it's quite exciting. They then will rise into a 10th grade math class, and then from there on there's either Math 11, and there are these range of courses as well. I should say this, for all of our electives, they vary every year, and that's to meet the needs and interests of the students. So some are offered on a rotating basis, and new ones will appear in their stead. Okay, science. So science, I like Dory's graphic here. Okay, so biology, chemistry, and physics are what we consider the core science courses, and all 9th graders take physics. So there is what we call regular physics, or physics, and then there is a course that is called faster physics. And it's very intentionally called faster physics rather than, say, advanced physics, because it is just that, it moves faster. So what the science department is trying to be very intentional about in their language with the students, and I am going to be equally intentional with you, is in clarifying for you what types of students might be interested in faster physics. So we are hopeful that faster physics is not just for students who already identify as, say, science people, right? So if you, like me, were not one of those people who identified as such, I might have heard faster physics and been totally intimidated by it and checked out and said, nope, I'll take the other track, that's fine for me, which is fine. But faster physics is not meant to be merely for kids who are already super confident in their science capabilities. It is for students who are confident in their ability to work independently, to advocate for themselves, to reach out to the teacher for help, and to recognize when they're struggling. And alongside that, to recognize that the pace of the course is faster. So if that feels daunting and uncomfortable, then absolutely they should be taking the other physics class. But we don't want this to just be for the students who have already identified as science kids. We want as many students as possible to try to explore and push themselves if they're comfortable doing so. If they have questions about that, or you do, you should reach out to Julie Rogers, who's the chair of our science department, and she will happily speak to you more about it. The other thing that's really important to note, and I just love the fact that Park does this, is that there is no differentiation on the transcript. So when your child graduates in just over 4 years, on their transcript it will simply say physics. So the differentiation is purely internal, in the sense that we want the student to be opting in because they're interested in moving faster for their own sake, not because of how a college 4 years from now might perceive it. So as you as a family are weighing the choices, keep that in mind. And then of course, there are also a wonderful array of electives in science as well. So again, I'll read a few of them if you can't see. Integrated medicine, risk factors and mechanisms of cardiovascular disease and diabetes. That's not that, like, leave it to science to have a long one. Molecular gastronomy, which I love observing because they're often making pancakes or ice cream. Engineering, this year we have a class that is creating some vehicles for the kinetic sculpture race. We are not sure how they will fare, but we are very excited about what they're working on. We also have an engineering for social justice class, so the students in pairs or groups help identify an issue out there that engineering might resolve, and they work to try to engineer a solution to it. Biomedical research, forensic science, so those are just examples of some of the electives out there in science. Okay. Oh, Gracie, she just wants me to stay up here. Okay, so arts. If you couldn't read the slide before, there's no way you're reading this one. So, arts, as you know, if you are